We're going to call up the 5 new appointees. Come on up to the center and we'll re-oath you. Jeez.
They probably already
One
did it.
full-time employee and 2 part-time employees. Hopefully it helps us to turn this week to your parents and see.
Fire department.
Friends, they can, I'm not turning my back on your face. So, I state your name. Raise your right hand, repeat after me, please. I.
Trevor, yes, that's what I
Do hereby solemnly swear or affirm.
do here. Solemnly swear or
To uphold the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States of America.
of the United States of America,
The Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of Ohio.
of the State of Ohio,
And the Charter of Ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Streets.
of the City of Streetsboro,
And that I will perform
and that I will perform
the duties of firefighter medic
the duties of the firefighter
for the City of Streetsboro Fire Department,
for the City of Streetsboro Fire Department,
which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Welcome. Chief, why don't you come on in, I'll get on the other end and we'll,
Yeah, feel free to come up and take pictures, members of the family, if you want.
Folks, we're gonna start our regular finance committee meeting or holding hearing right now. You guys, if you get welcome to stay. So Gary, very exciting. But yeah, if you guys don't want to stay, that would be the time for you to start. Yeah, no, it's here. It's perfect.
Oh, yes.
Your moment.
No problem. I'll go out to dinner with your parents. It's cool.
Thank you, Mr. Mishak and council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very cool. All right, I'd like to call this public hearing of Monday, May 20th to order. We'll need an invocation and pledge. Lisa, if you could lead us in the invocation, and the mayor.
Bow your heads and pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the freedom you have given to us and for the price that was paid by Christ so that we could live free. We remember today the cost of it all, the great sacrifice for freedom. We thank you for the brave men and women who have fought and continue to fight so courageously for our nation. We ask for your covering and blessing over them and their families. We pray that you would be gracious and encircle them with your peace. We pray for your great favor and goodness to be evident in their lives. Please be with all those who wear the uniform, who serve our communities and nation every single day. We ask that you provide your protection, that you would be their guiding force who leads the way, and their guard who keeps them safe. We ask that you would draw them to yourself amidst the dangers they face in a dark world. For you are the truth, you are the way, and you are the light. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mishnak.
Here.
Mr. Hannon.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Mrs. McDaniel? Present. Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
The only item on the public hearing agenda is T7599, zoning text amendments relating to marijuana dispensaries and establishments selling unregulated psychoactive substances. I'm going to open the floor for discussion to the general public. Anyone interested in speaking on this topic is welcome to come to the podium at this time. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First and a second to adjourn this public hearing on T7599. Hearing no public comment, we are adjourned. Okay, I'll hit a flick.
And use my fist. I'd like to call this Finance Committee meeting of Monday, May 20th to order. Caroline, please call the roll.
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
Mr. Hannan?
Here.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Ms. Wagner? Here. Mrs. McDaniel?
Present.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here. And item 3, disposition of minutes. We have the regular Finance Committee of April 22nd and Special Finance Committee of April 29th.
Make a motion to accept those minutes as drafted.
Second.
First and second to accept the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, those are accepted. Item 4, monthly financial report. Mr. Matt Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Council, this is the financial report for April 2024. You received an email last week in regards to the different financials. Pretty much on target with expenses and encumbrances in the 101 fund. We're about a third of the way through the year, and so those are slightly on target. Overall for the city, though, it is at 44%. You might be wondering why it's so high. We just opened up a PO for 1.6 million for the splash pad, so that's going to skew the numbers, but it's within that PO number overall for the city. Revenues are looking good for the general fund. We're at about 39%, and total revenue for the city is about 38%. In regards to, in April, we also received, one of the outliers is our property tax, our first half for the city. We received about 49% of what we were expecting. So perhaps there's some delinquents in there that we'll get on the second half. And the second half will be in September. And some other of our revenues that are looking pretty good. Hotel Motel is already at a third of its collections. Usually that's a seasonal thing. I usually see that spiking in the summer. So to see that already strong, because you can ask Greg Leininger, there's going to be a lot of tournaments coming up, and so that really helps out our Hotel Motel collections. Also, in regards to interest is still looking good. The Fed is keeping rates high, and so we are enjoying the interest income from that. Overall, the city last month got about $92,000. Of that $92,000 in interest, $57,000 went into the general fund. Income tax is looking good as well. At the end of April, we were a little bit over $1 million year to date. And I can give you numbers for the end of May because we received our reconciliation that went up about another $65K to about 1.07 million from last year, up. A lot of that is coming from net profit, which is something I take with a grain of salt. I like to see withholding go up. Withholding's up about 200,000. The rest is contributed in net profit. And so there's a couple theory as to why that is higher, but we'll wait to see on how that number behaves in the coming months. The city also has some of the salary savings. We've got about 8 pays through 26 pays, and so we're seeing a little bit of savings there just from some unfilled positions. And any questions on any of the April financials?
Mr. Mishniak.
What is the, what was the mini theory you had maybe about why the number was off?
I theory I had in regards to net profit is in regards to so many CFOs thinking that there was going to be an economic downturn, so a lot went to cash. And so instead of reinvesting that money into capital or into expansion, a lot of companies went to cash. You heard it on CNBC. I mean, you just went to cash. So what they're doing is by taking those profits and kind of piggy banking it away, well, then they've got to pay us an estimate on it. So that's kind of where my theory is as to why. Now, when I go to the next, we have a monthly meeting with area tax administrators. It's going to be something I'm going to bring up to ask how are their municipalities doing? Are they seeing increases in net profit? Because at the end of the day, net profit is probably one of the hardest things to analyze as a tax administrator. And so that's my theory. It could be, granted, they're just making profit. But we kind of have mixed feelings about net profit because we'd love for them to reinvest it back into the city. Or, they could also give that in wage increases. But for right now, we're up pretty considerably in net profit. Last year, if you remember, I was crying the blues about net profit. I'm like, it's down, it's down, it's down. This year, it's up. So that's my theory. Could it be wrong? It could be, but that could be part of the answer to what companies, how they're reacting.
Interesting. That's all I had. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Thank you, Mr. Miller. All right, item 5, old business. There is none. Item 6, new business. Discuss purchasing cards. Mr. Matt Miller.
So I wanted to bring this to council's attention. The city has 2 credit cards. We have a credit line of about $20,000. We're able for a lot of the year to just use those 2 cards, but that is to cover all the employees for the city, whether they're traveling or making purchases. There's some of our vendors only take credit card. And we have a litany of ways to pay vendors, whether it's checks or ACH or EFT, but there are times I need a credit card, especially for travel. And I was threatened a couple months ago. They said, hey, these are such old cards. They're actually from First Merit, if anybody remembers First Merit. And they said, hey, you've got to switch your cards. And so I said, you haven't really threatened me, so I'm just going to keep them. And so we looked at their program. From a procedural standpoint, there were so many extra steps to use their cards. Then I got approached by another bank in regards to their cards, and what kind of tipped the scales for me is here in Northeast Ohio, Huntington gets a lot of the public deposits. In Michigan, it's Chase, and our softwares was Chase. And so what they ended up doing was working with our software company, which is Michigan-based, and building programming so that it's more electronic and streamlined via like APIs. So it would talk to our system, no paper, moving. And so that really intrigued me from just a procedural efficiency standpoint. And there's a litany of things that I just kind of copied and pasted for council in that memo. The one for me is at the bottom of page 2, and it's just a better portal for account management. The one we used for this old card, I think, was designed in '97. And what also, too, is gives it a little bit more flexibility for the city. I can tell those cards, those different cards, hey, if it's a sports store, it won't even work. There's some type of merchant classification system. So our people couldn't even go into a sports store and use it. It also just gives us ability to use virtual cards, which are one-time use cards. But in order for this, you're probably wondering, well, Matt, why don't you just go get these cards? Well, in order for us to really make the program work, we need to use it for some of our bigger vendors. Because at the end of the day, we want to try and get a rebate. And in order to get a rebate, you kind of got to use the card a lot. Now, I used the card in the last year to date about $120,000, but that's skewed across from software to purchases at Walmart for the seniors. So in order to really use the card to what it would need to be, we'd have to have a larger credit line. Now that would be used only for our large vendors. We would still have the cards for day-to-day operations. And working with Missy Prokop, the mayor's assistant, she kind of handles the credit cards for the city. And one of the things that we run into is we just have so many different departments traveling where we cannot give a department a credit card for when they're traveling. You say, well, what's the big deal in that? Well, the reason that's a big deal is because it's actually a violation in Ohio Revised Code for me to reimburse an employee who received points off their personal credit card. The auditors eat that stuff up. And it's on me as finance director to provide them with a card, but it's just the way it happens is we have too many people traveling, other people have the card, and we just can't give someone a card. So my theory behind this is I would like to get additional cards, obviously not give those cards the credit limit, but our heavy users, which is police, fire, and parks, let them have their own department card and then still keep 2 cards for City Hall to handle the rest of the city. Like I said, obviously we would need a larger credit line to make this work. There's no legislation tonight. This is more of just for discussion, attempting to take the city to the next level in regards to credit cards. I have not been given a due date when these old grandfather First American cards will no longer work, but I do need to have credit cards for our different departments just because vendors will not take a check, they will not take an ACH. And I just wanted to bring this to council's attention because I'd like to be proactive on this, and if council had any concerns in regards to the program, I would love to get your thoughts and just kind of the green light to go ahead, because this would take a few months to implement in regards to programming and working with our software, working with the bank, and different things of that nature.
When you talk about giving each department a credit card, are you talking just, example, one account authorized user cards or separate credit card accounts for each department?
It would be,
So would you open 3 separate credit cards, or would you open one and everybody would just have a used?
one would share the credit line. There would obviously be a different credit card number, because when I get my statement, I want to see, when I see those ending 4 digits, do I know if it's parks, police, or fire department?
Well, that's how authorized user cards work, right?
Yeah. And so for right now, yeah, they would use, but I could set daily limits on that. And one of the biggest rules for the city is you have to have a purchase order in place.
Yeah.
I mean, Missy is really good about that. She's like, do you have a purchase order in place with Matt in order for me to give you this card? You know, that's one of our big controls for the city. And then we have a way of coding that that we built into the software, so we know which card is being used. But there is, I could have a vendor that does, hotels are bad for they might do $1 deposit or just get the first room rate, where somebody booked three nights, well, they only charge us for the first night. And then when you get there, so then there's maybe a little bit of a scramble. Whose amount is this? I think that'll help mitigate in regards to just having those different silos of cards. I can zoom in really quickly. And what the other layer of this is that portal through the credit card. It's actually going to be a workflow system that the department head will have to approve that transaction before it electronically comes into our software system. And so there will be a built-in workflow, and then the documents will come through electronically as well. So it's definitely better technology, but at the same time, I've been kind of floating this for a few months because I haven't really been given a deadline date from Huntington saying, "Hey, we're gonna pull your cards."
It sounds like it needs to happen though. Like it's modernization really. And
modernization and things like that, and it gives us. We will have a portal to where we can control how much a department. And there's actually, I've already talked with one of the programmers that, hey, I want it built in that they have to enter that they have to enter that PO number when they're using that card.
Yeah, I would caution you on using SIC codes, the industry codes, like you said, so they can't.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to go there. Like, you're not allowed to go to a bar and they're really just getting a sandwich for lunch.
The other thing with the SIC codes is we run into this problem all the time is a lot of industries or a lot of business types are under codes you wouldn't expect them to be under. So let's say they're out of town traveling, and they're going, I don't know, to a mom and pop gas station to fill up, but that mom and pop is registered under, some kind of store that you've excluded. They could run into. So I'd be careful on that. But
Yeah, and we don't run into, obviously we have to review and finance all the receipts, but I've never run into a department using it incorrectly. There's never, we don't allow alcohol or anything on that receipt. They have a certain lunch stipend, and it's adhered to across the department. So they're very good about that in regards to travel.
anybody else have any questions, comments?
Yeah, I'm just shocked you guys didn't have them already, like for each department. I don't know how you got along for that one.
I reached out to some fellow finance directors, and I'm surprised how much they're in the dark ages too, and with their cards. I'm just like, it's time to kind of upgrade.
Yeah, it sounds like you have all the controls that you need within the software. There's going to be a trail for it and a departmental head to approve it.
Right, and if I have a spending limit, let's say they can't spend over $100 a day. We can go in instantly. Let's say a transaction came up to 110 at Walmart. We can instantly give that person an extra $10 in credit. The transaction will go through, and that's the kind of that from a finance standpoint. We need to have that controls, and obviously, Mrs. Prokop should also be able to access that portal, and in order to let people purchase.
Are you gonna, or is the mayor and you gonna sit down with a written policy as to what types of things you envision them being able to use it for, and what type of things you would, as a city, not want them to use them for? Not the state auditor, but just as a city, come up with a
Like our credit
policy.
card policy. Yeah, we're gonna add a few layers to it.
Like, hey, we got, I'm just making up examples. We have, 16 reams of paper waiting. You didn't have to run to Staples and use it for $50. Like
Right.
that sort of thing. Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, I've whiteboarded just a lot of ideas in regards to how to approach, because we've never actually given a department a card before. And so just a lot's actually going to come down to the department head.
Yeah, I'd like to see it uniform, though. Like,
Yeah.
I hate to see, Billy say, man, I didn't use the card. I had to wait 2 months to get that. And Greg went and just ran up to Lowe's and got it himself. Come
Yeah.
up with something uniform and that makes sense, that the mayor's willing to stamp his approval on, so that we don't get, people are spending on stuff that maybe we should be buying in bulk or whatever.
Right, like paper. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can certainly refine that.
I'm just thinking of problems we've had in our office where, plus different employees, when they go on trips, think they can use it for different things. So get a clear written policy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, whatever it takes to get it, get the business of the city done, just as long as it's being fiscally responsible and uniform across departments.
Precisely, and one of the things we kind of craft the program, whether I have 30 days or 60 days to pay. If I say 30 days to pay, well, then we get a bigger refund check. But if I say, hey, I want 60 days for you to float that charge, well, then the city wouldn't receive as much of a rebate. So there's a way to kind of craft the program to say at the end of the year, once all the transactions go through, the city could, I haven't really gotten any figures on that. I can certainly look at that, but I could say, hey, 30 days, I'll pay it, no problem. And then the city would get a better refund percentage off of our total use.
They're not charging you interest for that period.
As long as I pay within the credit line, yeah.
Within the period, whether
Within
it's
the
30
period.
or 60 or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to extend it 60 because by that time people lose receipts. I mean, that's a long time to wait. You'd rather just get that velocity going.
Yeah. Any other questions, Ms. Fly?
I have a question or a statement. One thing I do like here is I see the integrated transaction data and the general ledger coding. And so we're entering all these things manually?
So what I would do is I'll use the fire chief as an example. The only things that would be in his sign-on in the portal would be GL numbers that start with 101.12. And I would preload those. So he wouldn't accidentally code to the police, which is 101.11. And so that is where that integrated software, so when that transaction comes over, it hits his general ledger. So yeah, that is what that's for.
Okay, I like that.
That's why I need a month or two to set it up. It's going to take a little bit of programming.
Anybody else? Mr. Lombardo?
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I do agree that this is needed. I think we have a good group of department heads that we trust that make good judgment decisions when they need to use the card, but I do agree with Mr. Mishniak about streamlining all of that. So I think this is a good idea and we need to do it, Mr. Miller. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Thank you.
Matt, do you need any vote from council or anything?
I think what we'll do is, obviously we have to do like a vendor match and get some more things together, what vendors we could pay with a credit card to get a refund on. But that's not something I was expecting to do till September, October, kind of post-audit. And what we'll bring to council is you would approve the credit line. Because that is something I do quarterly, right, Caroline?
You do the credit card report quarterly.
So that would be when we get to that point, council would have that authority to give the green light.
Very good, thank you.
That's good.
All right, item B, T7614, amend code sections 133.13 and 167.03 in regards to finance staffing. Ms. Lockhart-Reese.
Hi. This is just amending two sections to update the finance staffing. We did some title changes, and we want to just make sure we're staying on top of all our staffing ordinances.
Good. Any discussion?
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Great. Thank you, Ms. Lockhart-Reese. All right, item T7613, amend 2024 annual appropriations number 6. Mr. Matt Miller.
Yeah, so will be our 6th budget adjustment, and there's some movement, especially in my department, in regards to the change from above, which nets to 0. We also needed to throw some money into engineering and special fees and dues. And then I also realized that we have an agreement, income tax sharing agreement with our schools. And from what I budgeted, from what actually happened in 2023, I needed another about $3,800 that I need to remit to the schools. So I'm requesting a budget adjustment there. There was also some things with plan examiners and UI training and equipment. And I think now is I would like to ask, there's a Part B that was just created today. Since we're having back-to-back councils, we won't meet for at least 3 weeks, and then my finance committee is not for 5 weeks. And so we wanted to get these 3 items in. This would be Exhibit B. One of the major ones was the vehicular accident that hit one of our traffic boxes, and they are quite expensive. And then we have an issue with refunds for the community center. Something we didn't expect people to cancel their rental agreement. So I had to have a GL line to be able to, people that might cancel within the time frame, we have to be able to refund them. I need that vehicle in order to do that. So I just threw in, Greg and I talked, we just threw $3,000 that should cover us for the rest of the year. And so I'm asking council to also to include Exhibit B as part of the budget adjustments.
Any questions, discussion? Mr. Hannon?
I don't think it really matters, but I think in Exhibit B, it says State Route 43. It's going to stay around 14.
Was it? Was it 14?
14 and 303.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I took a gamble. I was like, state route
It's close.
something. I was 50-50. All right.
I have a question, Mr. Miller. So I'm assuming we haven't actually received those funds yet, right?
No, that is going to insurance. So I'm set because I want it to wash.
Or we're planning on, did we get a
I think you
PO for the 84,000?
Not until after this goes through the budget. So yes, we'll put the PO out there. We'll sign the contract, get them fixing it, and the insurance company will then reimburse us for that money.
Okay. And we're just,
They've already-
where'd we get 84,000 from? Just the estimated cost of?
No, I got the proposal off the Signal Service.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so it's right. Insurance is already working on it. Everything's going. We just had to put the PO up first and pay for it.
Okay. The odds of not getting it from the insurance? They
I think
denied
we're
the
in good
claim?
hands.
Yeah.
Stay firm.
Okay, all right. All right, that's all I had. Any other discussion?
We have to amend it to make a motion to amend to include Exhibit B.
I'm first. I have a first and a second to amend T7613 to add Exhibit B. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is added.
And then I'll make a motion to move T7613 as amended to the full council meeting tonight.
Second.
First and second to move to full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. All right, item 7, citizens' comments. Carl, if you like talking tonight? No? Okay. All right, item 8, announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
First and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Caroline, a moment here to get situated. Right. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, May 20th, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mishniak.
Here.
Mr. Hannan.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Here.
Ms. McDaniel. Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Disposition of minutes, there are none. Item 4 is citizen comments. Any citizen comments? You're welcome to come to the podium. Hearing none. Item 5 are reports, communications from departmental heads, boards, and commissions. We'll start on this side with the law department and the chiefs. Anything?
No, I have nothing to report.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be back. I was overseas for about 2 weeks. Nothing like home. Home sweet home.
Where'd you go?
Lisbon, Madrid, Barcelona, Paris, and London.
Nice.
Yeah. It was 50th wedding anniversary.
Good for you. That's great.
25th, I was stuck in Rome, 9/11. So every time we go overseas, I was wondering if something would happen, and thank goodness nothing happened. So I'm back. Not a whole lot to report. We have 4 part-timers and 1 full-timer that we just hired today. They're going through 40 hours of fire training, so they're become acquainted with our air packs and hose and everything like that. Then I'll start going through our EMS training, just in time because I have guys leaving, getting full-time jobs. So it's a merry-go-round. They come in, they go out. So we have good candidates, and I'm looking forward to training with them this week. Other than that, busy like everybody else.
Very good. Thank you. Chief, you got anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, we'd received a lot of complaints about some of our school buses getting passed all the time, violations every day. So we actually set up a detail and had some officers on the school buses, and then had an additional officer following behind the bus to catch the violators. We got 0. Goose eggs twice. It is something that we are going to continue on a sporadic basis during the school year. in hopes that maybe we do get some of those, the violators that are getting reported. The second thing is our 2 Durangos that have been sitting in the parking lot for a little bit. You guys should see those up and running before too long. We finally have an appointment with Public Safety to get those outfitted. And for those that are interested to see what a totaled Tahoe looks like, it's in our parking lot with the front end pretty smashed in. So that'll be coming to council, the first one in June, to approve the insurance money for that. City's insurance is going to pay for it and then go after the other driver. We fortunately do have the added bonus of having a full replacement value on our insurance, which means they will replace everything that we can't take over from one Tahoe to another.
So they'll include the upfitting?
They're going to include the upfitting and all the equipment that was destroyed. We do have a lot of stuff that we can transfer over, but as I said, if you drive by, the whole front end's in a shape it's not supposed to be. So, and also, yeah, it looks like it was wrapped around the telephone pole that it was. Also, I put in Officer Larson for an award called Saved by the Belt. He'll be getting that award in June down in Niles. It's through State Highway Patrol. Shortly after his crash, I saw an image of another crash with I believe it was a Traverse that had significantly less front end damage than his Tahoe, and it was actually an ejection where the passenger died. So his seatbelt 100% saved his life, and I think that's really putting a good message out there that, you know, we wear them as well. And while there's some discussion on making that a primary offense, you know, we're out there and we're wearing them just because it is a safe thing to do. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. Any departmental heads? Go ahead, Greg.
So this weekend we'll start the next 3 weekends of pretty busy times down at the park for tournaments. This one will start Friday and on Sunday with the Memorial Tournament, baseball after that, and then the June 1st one would be girls softball. So if you need to avoid the park on the weekends, I would definitely do so. Just being down there today, people are parking all over the place. The back parking lot was completely packed. They were parking all through the grass. They haven't gotten onto the soccer fields yet, but today was just a Monday. So people are definitely using the parks, and we are definitely getting busy.
Very good, thank you. Patrick, anything?
Not at this time.
Justin and John, anything? Miller and Miller, law firm.
Oh, you skipped Mr. Checkout.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Too fast. So we should be getting pavement down in the next 2 weeks or so at City Center, and we started blocking up the walls for the restroom. So everything, and the mound is being shaped to an artistic form for which we will plant our trees.
Didn't find anything else under the ground. We got everything out.
Please don't say anything.
No submarines or anything.
Dinosaur bones. Miller, we kind of heard from finance Miller. Nothing, Billy. All right.
Can I ask Mr. Meidinger a question?
Absolutely.
Mr. Meidinger, is there any plans in the future at all to expand any sort of parking or to add any gravel to some of the grassy areas over by where your shed is, or anything at all in the future? I was there the other day and it was crazy, so I'm just figured out as.
Yeah, so part of the Miracle Lane project, I think we had some parking that was over by the basketball courts across from volleyball. That might help a little bit, but back by the sheds or back into the woods area, I don't have anything earmarked yet.
Okay.
That's a capital improvement unless I can just put temporary parking, which is really not what we want to do when we put in parking. Because the elementary school, that back circle, everything was packed just today. They get in there. I mean, they were.
All right, I just wasn't sure if you had any ideas.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I had a question for him too.
Absolutely.
So there are signs up asking people not to park in the community center parking lot on the weekends. No,
only during rentals.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Just because I would hate to have somebody pay to rent that hall and have 50 or 100 people coming, and there's nowhere to park.
Right, yeah, so we blocked off the tournament weekends, the ones we have really big tournament, we're just not gonna try to fight it, basically, so there won't be any rentals for the next 3 weekends, but they pick up right back up on the 15th already. And then,
So you'll just pay attention to when there's rentals, and that's fine. I just want to make sure that the people who are paying to use that space are getting the whole space to use. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Anything else? All right, moving on to item 6, introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency. The first item is T7613, the amended 2024 annual appropriations with added Exhibit B attached. If you would read by title, please, Caroline.
Ordinance amending ordinance number 2023-156, the 2024 annual appropriations ordinance number 6.
Motion to suspend?
Second.
First and a second to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel. Yes. Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes, the rules are suspended.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
First and a second to adopt. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel. Yes. Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes. T7613 passes and now becomes 2024-84. Next item is T7614, amend code sections 133.13 and 167.03 regarding finance department staffing. Read by title, please.
An ordinance amending sections 133.13 and 167.03 of the codified ordinances of the city of Streetsboro to add finance payroll administrator and declaring an emergency to expedite the enactment of the amendments.
Motion to suspend?
Second.
First and a second to suspend the rules. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes. The rules to do 3 readings are hereby suspended.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes. T7614 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-85. Those are the only 2 items under statement of emergency. Moving on to item 7, first reading, there are none. Item 8 is second reading, there are none. Items up for third reading. There's one item, T7598, amend chapter 182, the municipal income tax. Read by title, please.
I just want to clarify too for council that this has the amended exhibit attached because at the first reading there was a typo mentioned and it is corrected. So just to clarify, that's the version that we're adopting. So this is an ordinance amending chapter 182 of the codified ordinances of the city of Streetsboro regarding municipal income tax.
The typo didn't raise everyone's taxes, did it? Just check.
Motion to adopt?
I want my name on that.
Second.
All right, first and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes, T7598 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-86. The next item on the agenda is item 10, and that is the mayor's report. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mishniak. First off, I want everybody to have a safe holiday, a safe Memorial Day. Not necessarily a happy Memorial Day. Memorial Day is not supposed to be happy. It's a time that we remember those that have fought and died for our country through all the wars that we've been through. So I know you're going to smile and I know you're going to laugh, but just never forget to remember those that have fought and died for our country. I sent you folks an email today. I don't know if everybody has read it yet. At the last meeting we were discussing the tower, or the sale of the tower, you asked me to contact Brian, who is the guy that from TowerCo, and I asked the questions that you folks had asked me to, and I sent his response back. I also had I had told you in the last meeting that the law directors had some trepidation as to just doing a perpetual lease on the thing because of some items that were in their contract. And in that email I sent to you today, I included those. I would like to bring this back up for discussion at the search committee meeting in the first one in June. If you have any questions between now and then, please feel free to contact me, and we will answer them, as best as we can. So,
thanks for doing that.
You're welcome. Other than that, you guys have a safe Memorial Day.
All right, item 11, President of Council's comments. I'll just reiterate that. Have a safe and fun holiday, but as the mayor said, remember the purpose of the holiday and at least take a moment to reflect. Item 12 is council members' comments. Let's start with John. We never started with you, John.
I'll just echo that. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Lisa.
I have something that I want to share. Last week, as most of you probably know, I home educate my kids. And we have a recitation group where everyone prepares pieces and recites. And a young man, his name's Jack Loya, he recited the Gettysburg Address. And it really stuck with me in light of Memorial Day. So I just wanted to share these words tonight. This is from the end of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, which was in November 1863, but it's very relevant. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did there, referring to the fallen. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. That's all I have for you.
Amen.
Very good. Well said.
Lisa, you want to give it to me? I'll put it with the minutes.
Well, sure.
Mary Ann.
Have a safe holiday, everyone. And I have a question. Weren't we supposed to schedule that work session for the zoning or not? Wasn't it supposed to be today?
We haven't done that yet. We probably talk about
Still in committee, it never got moved to council meetings. So
Yeah,
we still
do
have
it in
to
committee.
Okay.
Yeah, put it on next service. This should work if everybody's cool with that. Any other comments?
That's it.
All right, Jennifer.
Safe. You have given the ultimate sacrifice. Make good choices, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Spoken as a dispatcher, huh? What happened? You were water skiing and what? Tony.
Thank you. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Checkeye. Yeah, first time, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I can count for it.
Just because, you got a lot going on. You got the city center project, the road construction. It's all going on at one time. You're dealing with, the complaints. And so I just want to say thanks for making that work. I've actually heard a lot of compliments about the project on 43 and how the lanes are still open. So that's pretty good. So thanks for all your hard work and everything you do. And have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. And I'm waiting for Justin to give me the date on the flags.
All right, yep, so celebrate and observe our fallen soldiers. Saturday morning at 9 a.m., we go out to Evergreen Cemetery and clean up and replace the flags at all the veterans' graves. So I encourage you to come. I always took my children. It was a good lesson for them. come and participate in that if you can. And then Sunday at 9 a.m., starting at the American Legion, is again the round robin. We visit a number of places in town, and it starts at the Legion, goes to the VFW, usually then down to Evergreen, and then we would finish at Woodside. I don't know, since the ownership's changed there, if we're still going to Woodside this year or not, but there is a memorial service that is held at each one of the sites. It's a different at each site, and I encourage you to come and memorialize our fallen veterans that way. Also, I want to say congratulations to all the graduating seniors. Tomorrow is graduation, and I wish them all the best on their future endeavors.
Very good. Thank you. Announcements. City Hall will be closed for Memorial Day on Monday, May 27th, 2024. Community Shred Day is Saturday.
This is closed.
Well, thank you, Terry. Community Shred Day is Saturday. That's why we can't have AI. Community Shred Day is Saturday, June 8th, 2024, from 9 to noon at City Hall. There will be a safety committee, a service committee, and a regular council meeting here in council chamber starting at 7 p.m. on Monday, June 10th, 2024. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. First and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
3 weeks.
Well, it's supposed to